Sector then, Bharti Airtel, we understand from sources, has written to the government about its spectrum dues, which are worth 74,000 crore rupees. What CNBC Awaaz understands is that Airtel is asking the government to convert these dues into equity like they did in the case of Vodafone Idea. So this provides, Bharti Airtel some cash flow relief. Sanjay Kapoor, former CEO of Bharti Airtel, is now joining us on the show. Sanjay, first share your initial thoughts, because what we've learned so far is only from sources, but Bharti seems to have written to the government to convert spectrum dues into equity. What does this mean?
Yeah, so morning to everybody. And, I don't have much details than the ones that I've read in the media. And what I believe is that the government did convert the spectrum dues up to 2028 for VIL. So to bring in parity and to make sure that others have, a similar offering, probably, Airtel can also have the right of asking the government to convert their equity dues, their spectrum dues into equity. And I guess that's the bone of contention at the moment.
So Bharti Airtel may have asked, but is it incumbent on the government to convert and listen to the request, or can they refuse? And what could be the driving motivation for Bharti to do this?
So, whether the government can say yes or no, from a parity perspective, probably the government has always said they'll be fair to all players. So, probably they'll have to consider this option. But given the condition of Bharti Airtel in terms of financial strength versus VIL, government can always exercise its rights to say that, why can't you offload this in the open market and probably get a premium, right? Because Airtel doesn't have a funding issue. Airtel can go and sell this equity anytime in the market. They're a premium stock. So I guess government will always have the option of the refusal or the the last refusal.
Absolutely, they would have the right because, and like you're mentioning, right, bringing parity, but Bharti Airtel does have the money to pay this dues, right? So if this actually takes place, then wouldn't they have a bit more advantage? And what would they be doing with the money that is already lying with them?
Well, telecom is definitely an industry where it's very capital hungry, and you keep investing money into networks and expansion. And, Airtel will also be in the same boat to wanting to invest more monies into 5G. Reliance is investing more money in 5G. Does Airtel want to do that? Reliance has got a standalone 5G network. Do they also want to move towards a 5G standalone network? So I think they will have the strategies in place to say, why do they need this money? But they are well capitalized, and their ability to raise capital is not a question like VIL's. So I guess, probably they're finding, an opportunity here to bring in government. Though, I would be a little coy about government's move here to say, will government, if they accept this, not become over-invested in the telecom sector? Though telecom sector is a very important sector for the country, and the government doesn't mince words on that. We need to keep alive at least 3 players in the market, if not 4, for such a large market to give the right choices to the consumer. So I think from a government's perspective, they only seem to be over-invested, but for the right reasons maybe. But from, Airtel's perspective, I don't think this is the only choice that Airtel will have to raise capital. They can raise capital in the market as well.
But that's the option they seem to have gone, with, by writing to the government to convert, though they have other options. But then that brings the question that, Jio can also ask. They also have spectrum dues. So where does one draw the line? Because as you said, then there's a risk that the government is over-invested in the telecom sector.
Yeah, I mean, for now, what the government has converted for VIL is the spectrum dues. So I guess that Airtel is asking for spectrum dues and not AGR dues like some newspapers and, print media has mentioned. Because if they do that, then that puts Jio at a disadvantage, because Jio doesn't have AGR dues, and then they might come back and say, man, how can you give it to 2 guys and not the 3rd guy? So those controversies, I'm sure the government doesn't want. So right now, if it's spectrum dues, then geotheoretically can come back tomorrow and say, me too.
Absolutely. But, Sanjay, do wait on with us. Actually, in a big development...
Telecom, but you do look at the TMT sector as, at large. Do you want to quickly weigh in with your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's a no-brainer that India is a great alternate destination for production of electronic goods, especially devices. And, India has really moved over the last few years. Though I did read in one of the print medias that, they have defined the norms for what will construe to be or what will qualify to be made in a particular country, and they have certain guidelines around components and critical components and design and all that stuff. So I guess we are on the right path, and if we can integrate more on developing the key components and design in India, then India could turn out to be a behemoth as far as production of mobile phones, especially Apple, is concerned. And Apple over time, I think, has developed that confidence over here. And they are, along with Samsung, probably the biggest beneficiaries of the PLI scheme that the government announced. So I think they have benefited from the investment. They've benefited from our PLIs. They've benefited from the fact that India is producing quality products which can be acceptable to the rest of the world. So why not India become the key manufacturing hub for them globally?
Okay, Sanjay, thank you so much for joining in with us on the show, talking to us about the telecom sector as well as in terms of Apple iPhone and the updates coming in on that front as well. Thanks so much for that, Sanjay.